And Mobius knows that the Elder God will just put him in another body, so he doesn't care. And Mortanius is possessed by the Hilden, so he's not really in charge of all his faculties. So it makes no never mind to him. And nobody else knows the truth. Except for maybe that other person that Mortanius kills, probably because they knew the truth. So, now, at the end of Soul Reaver 2, we're at the end. Raziel's made his way. He's fought his brothers. He's plunged the sword into himself. That is a hard fight. That was a tricky fucking fight. That fight is just, oh. And then Kain saves him, plus minus. He rips the sword out, and there's the other paradox occurring, but it's occurring. It's in the thralls of it, and while it's happening, Kain gets his new memories because they changed everything, but they didn't. They changed how certain events went down, but they didn't change it so much that it merited a whole, rewrite or stop something completely from happening. So, Kain, in this paradox moment, while Raziel is sitting there dying because he's killed himself by accident, and then not really by accident because he realizes, oh my God, I'm the soul in the blade. I'm the one from earlier inside the blade that was trying to fucking kill Kain. And then I'm the one that's like, so it, because the blade, when you kill yourself, the blade turns on you and plunges into your chest. As soon as you take your human life with the blade, the soul, your human soul goes into the blade. It's vengeful. It's vengeful. It's the vengeful spirit of the blade. And then it turns on you and you plunge it into your chest and you're like, oh my God, oh fuck, I get it. It's my soul that's in here. I see, okay. And I have it because it's on my arm and it wants to be whole again. Okay, I'm fine. And then yoink, oh, what was that? Kain, what the fuck are you doing here? Where were you 5 minutes ago? Sorry, I was taking a piss. Anyway, Lucky, don't need that anymore. What happened? I killed myself. I could see that. No, literally, I killed myself. There's my body. Oh, right. Huh. My, that's disturbing. So yeah, you don't look so good. No, I don't feel so good either. I feel like, I'm slipping back into the spectral. Yeah, about that. Boom, 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 boom. What the fuck? Oh my God, Raziel. I think I'm gonna be sick. Oh, it's a good thing I didn't eat any blood before I took a piss. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm the one dying. No, listen. I just got a flood of new memories. I gotta. I didn't bring a towel. I have to process this. You hang in there, okay? But listen, more important, beyond anything else, thank you for getting me my sword back. I really missed it. Is that it? No. More than that. Janice Audrum must stay dead. Do you hear me? Don't bring him back to life. I know you want to. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. It's bad. Bad things happen when he comes back. He has to stay dead, okay? Okay. I'm gonna go now. No, wait. What? And then he slips away into the spectral, and that is it. He's stuck down there with the Elder God, trapped. He's a prisoner. The Elder God is keeping him down there. He's not letting him out, and he's just suffering and starving for who knows how long until Defiance comes out. And while all that time has passed, which hasn't been a lot of time at all, Kain is still in the past. He's still in that timeline. He jets out of the Citadel, and he's kind of like hanging around. living his best life. He's got his baby back. He's got his bottom boo, Soul Reaver, with him. He's got Raziel. It's just not the way he wants. You know what I mean? And so he's pretty chill. He's going around doing his thing. He's making new vampires. Maybe, we don't know. I'm guessing he would do something like that, because why would you not? But again, he's time fucking around. Again, though, he doesn't care about the future because the future is bad. So he's trying to change that anywhere he can. So if you can make a human a vampire and then that vampire helps him later, more power to the vampires. And Kain. Hail Kain. Let's see. That's why the blade broke when Kain struck him with it. Right, exactly. That's why he couldn't kill him with the Soul Reaver when they fight in part 1 in the Citadel, in the Sanctuary, rather, in the Pillars of Nosgoth, because he is the soul in the blade, so he can't suck himself, so the blade shatters into pieces. And the spirit of the blade has now temporally matched its counterpart, and now the two are one. So now, since they've been the blade, now he's the blade. It's all very, very yummy and symbolic. And make Janus stay dead. Exactly. Make sure. I will make absolutely sure that Janus click beep. Exactly. I didn't quite catch that last part. I dropped my glove. No. It's rather dark in here, but I dropped one of my gloves. Oh, wait, I found it. Okay. So yeah, then you have that, and that's how it ends, and you're like, oh shit, what the fuck did I just play? Again, you know how games have endings, and you're like, oh, I accomplished this, I did it, ring ring ring, charm charm, ding ding ding, we did it, dun 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 dun. Congratulations, thanks for playing, the end. We don't get that in these games. None of these games are like that, except for Blood Omen 1. And it does give you 2 endings, even though we know the one that's canon. And it's just like, yay, you chose to be the vampire king of the world. All right, yeah. And you're on that throne full of skulls and shit, and that's where you make your throne. Pillars of Nosgoth is great, right? Great, right? All right. Everything else is like a sort of a cliffhanger, or a chapter that ends, and you're playing a chapter in the book, and then you're left with like, okay, so Kain has new memories, and now Raziel's a prisoner, and he's stuck with the Elder God, knowing all the shit but can't do anything about it. Oh my God, how awful. What's Kain up to? Kain's figuring out how to infiltrate the Seraphim stronghold, how to get an audience with Mobius off guard so he and him can have a chat. Now, Raziel's been down there in Defiance, for quite some time, since he died, basically, again. And Kain is still, like I said, where he was. All of the brothers are buried. They have their murals and their stained glasses and their statues dedicated to that. But some time has gone by, because in this game you see a statue of Malik, but he's not at the Citadel. He's also not dead, though. That's another thing we have to understand. Like, at first when I was playing Defiance, I was like, where am I? Because Malik's not here. Where is he? And then you go in that courtyard and you see that statue, and you're like, oh, wait. He's here? His statue's here. Okay, so I can be right after, because they have all this stuff dedicated to the people that we just slaughtered. We meaning Raziel. I was taking a piss. So there's that. So where the hell is Malik? You know, I felt like the whole time I was running around, I wasn't really looking for Mobius. I was looking for Malik. I was like, we have a rematch. Because you don't get to really... You fight him in Blood Omen 1, but he basically throws you off the bastion and knocks you the fuck out. Like, you're no match for him. And then in part 2, Vorador fights Malik. They have their rematch because now Malik is bonded to his armor. And Vorador and him go at it, and you have to fight. It was the hardest fight for me, was to fight those two fucking people. I had to use the heal cheat because I could not kill them without the heal cheat. The ground is disappearing underneath you. They move around. They're fast. You're not fast. You're slow. You're a vampire. You're slow. You would think you'd move faster, but no. That didn't happen. And it was just tough. So that was the one time I used the heal cheat, was for that boss. And apparently I wasn't the only person. Other than that, I played the game as normal. But man, the fact that you leave that fight, you kill those two assholes, and you come out in the hallway where you ran in from to have the boss fight, you find Malik's helmet, and you're like, oh shit, some shit went down here. Vorador fucked this suit of armor up. And again, you know that Malik is now a suit of armor because of the flashback with Vorador, and Vorador is aware of Malik's punishment for his lackluster performance during Vorador's siege of the castle. So there's their rematch. So at first I'm like, well, I'm not rematching him. I mean, I guess I kind of am. He did throw me off the bastion in part 1. So, but you never find him. He's not there. His statue's there, but he's nowhere to be found. And then I had to think, okay, when am I? I can't be right after the events of part 2 because time has passed. I had to have been tramping around, kind of keeping myself safe, making some vampires to protect me or whatever, and like staking out this fucking spot. Because when you start the game, it's the cover of night and you're ready to jump in, slaughter people, and talk to Mobius. And get some fucking information. Even though that conversation doesn't go as planned, because Mobius still has that goddamn orb and he fucking floors you with it. Not your best hour, Kain. But still, you were there. You had your conversation. But he doesn't kill you. He doesn't call his guards. He mocks you because you think you know what's going on, and you still have no idea, and you don't know what's going on with Raziel either. You know that they're aware of Raziel and they're aware of what you've done with him. He's asking Mobius, where's Raziel? And Mobius is going, he's safe for now. Like, he knows exactly where he is, and he knows that Kain has put him up to all this shit, and he knows the deal that, you know, he knows that Raziel is working for the Elder God. He knows that he's an agent for him, but he also knows that he has free will, so they have to be careful with him. If they want him to do what they want him to do, they need to lay the path out in front of him. And Kain is a problem. That's why he was supposed to be killed how many times ago? But Raziel's like, nope, I want to figure out my own shit. Now with the information I know about you guys, I'm not thrilled about being, again, the person to slaughter a whole race of people. And he's right back where Kain was when he was 30 years old and he was tramping around, fucking taking over, becoming King Vampire of Nosgoth. I rather find another way than to be the cause of a whole race of people who are extinct because of my choice. So that's what it is for Kain. Kain's like, I don't want to be the one to be the destroyer of an entire noble race of creatures who were manipulated by a piece of shit outer god. All because it didn't go his way. All because he didn't expect the Hilden to be so righteous that they cursed his meal not to taste very good anymore. Like they made him allergic to his food. And now he's stuck, which is why he's starving. And Kain doesn't want to have to suffocate the world just to fuck him up. He wants the third option. That's the whole thing. When the coin, flip a coin as many times. What happens when a coin lands on its side? It's like, what happens? What do you do with that information? There's a third option. There's got to be a way to deal with this now, before it gets out of control. And that's where Defiance comes in. Both of them are just like, we're not gonna be victims to this shit. We're gonna go traverse our paths. And the whole idea of them playing in the same area but just like 500 years apart, oh my god, I love it because one thing you do in one lets the other have access to this thing. It was just so brilliantly done. Yeah, there were tricky things with the camera because, again, the camera is the biggest complaint. Camera and combat, but mainly the camera, because camera made the combat hard. Just like in fucking Resident Evil. Camera made the combat hard. So now in Defiance, all the secrets are coming up to the surface. Everybody's going to know everything about everything now. We're finally going to get the answers. We're finally going to know about, how we're going to deal with Ariel, how we're going to deal with Mobius, how we're going to deal with the fact that the vampires are the rightful rulers of the pillars. Do we even want the pillars still to be a thing? Again, the Hilden have their champion. They have their prophesied champion that's supposed to save them from the hellscape that they live in. And I'm like, when in Defiance, Kain's in the Hilden realm and he sees what they've been going through, I'm just like, dude, when he comes back out and he's like, oh, and he's alive with no heart, he's truly like undead out of the wheel. Like he's truly another person. He's another being, rather. He's another being altogether. You love Defiance, Ori? Dude, I love Defiance. I love it. Oh my god, there are parts of it that you just want to scream, like when you're trying to get into Vorador's Keep and you got to keep like making that fucking landing. Oh my god, having the fixed camera for the cinematic, again, great idea, but no, you need to be able to control and look at stuff. Like if Until Dawn was like Defiance, it'd be so much better because you got your cinematic, but you also have like, you can move the camera around and stuff. That was the one thing. It was like, why? Stop. Stop it. Didn't you learn the first 2 times this was not a good idea? It's not a good idea. But yeah, in Defiance, when you're just like, okay, both characters are learning the things that each other knows. Both understand a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And when Raziel and Kain fight both times in Avernus Cathedral, it is like, whew, it's the battle that you wanted from Soul Reaver 1 happening now in Defiance with, better graphics, better, stuff. And it's wild. It took me a few tries, man. Raziel's no joke. He's hard. It was faster for me to beat Kain than it was Raziel. He's hard. But then you go and, that's how the portals ripping. What's her name's ripping fucking portals left and right. She's ripping the fabric of the universe apart and letting in the Hilden at Avernus Cathedral because the pillars are corrupted and the veil is weak. And she's the guardian of the Pillar of Dimensions. She has the power, and she's being taken over by the Hilden. They're influencing everybody who goes to the church. So in part 1, when you're making your way there as Kain, there's demons running around. The fucking place is on fire. You're like, oh my god, dude, Font of Putrescence was my friend. I melted the shit out of fucking Everybody. Boom, 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 boom. That and Flay. Font of Putrescence, Flay, my favorite two weapons to use. And again, like little spell things, the throwables. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Just watching them melt. The animations with the melting. And the Flay when it you because Flay are like these little, in Underworld, the Celine, she throws those like circular fucking bomb like razor disc things. Those are from fucking Blood Omen, dude. I was in the movie theater and they threw that shit into the werewolf and I was like, oh, Flay. That's Flay right there. They hone into your target. So it's not just a straight shot. It's not like a ninja star. Imagine a ninja star, but it hones into your target. And then when it lands, it explodes. Boof! Oh my god, it's so visceral. The sound, the animation of the body just exploding. So much love went into making this game. Can't you tell? It's so good. You can beat them using the same cheese. Oh, yes, definitely. Beat who? What cheese? What are we talking about? Or let me know. Tell me more about this cheese. Demon cheese? That sounds yum. Like cheese wine. Wine cheese? Wine cheese. One of those. But you go like with Defiance, especially, like you come back from Avernus Cathedral, like you come back from the portal in Avernus Cathedral as Kain, and you have a gaping hole in your chest, and you're like, oh, I'm alive. How am I alive? I don't have that answer. The only thing I can think of is, one, because he's a scion of the Pillar of Balance, and two, he may be the Hilden hero. Kind of looks like the Hilden hero. I guess that's what's keeping him. I mean, he would have died in part 1. The pillars would have been restored, right? So I don't know. I don't know how he's still alive. I don't have that answer. If anybody knows, the kinetic shackles, status, field, and attack. The kinetic shackles, status, field, and attack. I have no idea what that is. But I believe you, Ori. Yeah, I don't know how he's alive. And the whole thing, the revelation at that point too, the whole thing why that's so important. Because I love Avernus Cathedral. It's my favorite, like it's my favorite place, like lore wise in the game, because Avernus Cathedral is just a pivotal part of Blood Omen 1. It's where you find the Soul Reaver. It's hidden deep inside Avernus Cathedral. And that's kind of like a timestamp for the series, like when Kain finds the Soul Reaver, and a lot happens in Blood Omen before you get to Avernus Cathedral. So there's a lot going on. But as a fledgling vampire, whatever. But that point where there are a few. There's like when Kain goes to the pillars, of course, like he hears Tony Jade's voice telling him to go there. He meets Ario. He meets the Oracle, who's really Mobius, telling him about the time streaming chamber, and the Oracle's keep and shit. But then there's like Avernus Cathedral, where Kain finds the Soul Reaver, and he's like, the Soul Reaver. Touch somebody, you suck their soul, they're gone. Period. And the sound it makes when you swing it, it's like almost like a whale. It's fucking awesome. And King William the Just has the exact same sword. And there's that whole that's another thing. It's like, wait, Mobius gave King William the Just a Soul Reaver. How do you have it? Well, okay, that's kind of simpler to explain, actually. King William the Just becomes the Nemesis. The Nemesis is wreaking havoc throughout the whole land, and it's coming for King Atmon's kingdom. Kain gets involved in that in Blood Omen 1. King Atmon's upset because the puppet master has stolen his daughter's soul and put it in a puppet, and the only way to get it back is to get the doll that has her soul. So you go and get involved in that. You do that, and King Atman agrees to have his army fight the Nemesis and meet them head on. Kain's in the battle as well. You play a Kain. You fight. You kill the Nemesis. But his fucking army is massive. And you can kill as many of them as you want, but it doesn't stop until you find a time streaming device. Or you walk into a part of the field that it teleports you into the past. Now, it teleports you, I believe, 30 years into the past. It could be 50, plus minus. I think it's 30 because he's a young man. But at the time, I guess it's teleporting you back around your birth. When you're going into the region where you just were, they're constructing the statue. The statue is being built feet first. You're going to King William the Just's keep. You infiltrate the keep and you find him with Mobius. Mobius is talking to him about a vampire that is coming to hunt and slay him. King William the Just doesn't believe in all this. He's like, yeah, okay, a vampire is going to come to kill me. That's fine. Why? I don't understand. What did I do? You know, you're a threat, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. Just take this. He gives him a Soul Reaver. Again, not sure how that happened, but he gives it to him. So he could have gotten it from the Citadel, where it's encased, and given it to him, and then that's the Soul Reaver that becomes encased in the Citadel, once again, or a number of other possibilities. Important thing is, Mobius gives him a Soul Reaver, which is why there's a mural of King William the Just fighting Kain with 2 cross Soul Reavers. Now, that's supposed to be a paradox. And it is. It's a paradox. There's only one. How is this possible? It's just one of those things. The only part that made Kain a vampire was the Heart of Darkness. He wasn't given the dark gift in the same way the other vampires were. Yes, this is true, Ori. Yep. Which is a sort of plot hole because he still possesses vampire physiology. Mobius' staff should have still affected him. Same with Raziel's Wraith Blade. The staff affects it even though Raziel has been reincarnated into a Hilden, and therefore the Wraith Blade is a Hilden weapon and should not have affected it, but yet it does. Well, that's the thing though. The Wraith Blade was made by Janus. Well, it was conscripted by Janus. I don't know if the Elder God, told Janus, make this, have somebody make this blade, or if Janus was like, my people are suffering for this cause. There's a prophecy that we have someone who will help save us from this Hilden threat. And they have a sword. Okay, I'm going to get somebody to make the Soul Reaver. It could have been as simple as that. And then Vordor, his first, the first person he sires to give the dark gift to, is the creator of the Soul Reaver. Because in Defiance, Raziel's like, so you're the one who made the Soul Reaver. You're the first vampire. I see. I saw your mural. Lovely hair, by the way, that you used to have. By the by, what's the deal with the Soul Reaver? And he's like, I don't know. My master told me to make it. He said it was important. Like, that's what we get. And I'm like, wait. Why? It was prophesied that the Scion, will save us. I don't know what that meant. I just did what I was told. I was the first vampire. You kind of do what you're told when you're the first vampire. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really say all that much. He doesn't know. That's why he wants you to wake Janus up, because he's the only one with the answers. And Vorador also wants you to wake Janice up because the fucking vampire community is in dire straits and we could really use some fucking guidance. Like, he's the last vampire. He's the first vampire, human vampire, and he's watching the humans slaughter his people. He's caught between, well, I was a human once and that didn't turn out great. But like, then what? You know, like what what do you do? And we don't even know if Vorador was a guardian. He's taken. Which pillar was he the guardian of? He's still alive. Doesn't that tie him to one? Every instance, Mobius is killing Vorador. Why? He knows Vorador's not the last vampire. He knows Kain will be the last vampire if Vorador's alive. But why is Vorador being alive such a problem? Why is it such a problem? Because he's the first one? Maybe Mobius has a grudge? I've always questioned that. First in, last out. Yeah, dude, exactly. I've always thought, like, why Vorador? You know? Because he knows something. It didn't seem that way in Defiance. It didn't seem like he knew a whole hell of a lot. All he knew was that Janice knew the answers. So when you wake up Janice, he's like, oh my God, Raziel, you're still like, what the fuck? What do you mean you don't know? I'm here because of you. We met. We meet. We had a conversation. They came and snatched your heart out. He goes, oh yeah, I remember. Right. I teleported you away and then they killed me. Right. Which happens in part 2. Soul Reaver. So, what now? Can we finish our conversation? We have time. And he goes, I must consult the scrolls. I did not foresee this. If Kain's here and he has the Reaver, maybe he's the Scion, and I don't know what that makes you. And Raziel's like, you better figure it the fuck out. I can't anymore. I've been through a lot of stuff. I was burned in water. Okay? That shit hurts. You need to help. Help me. Help me help you. Do I have to help Kain? Is he really the guy? What does that make me? Am I just the sword? Have I always been just the sword? What am I doing? The sword has free will until the wielder grabs it. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's, you know, and I totally identify with Raziel. I'm like, yeah, man, it's like being a yo-yo, dude. It's just, you don't know if you're coming or going. It's just up and down. And then, you know, Janice is like, I gotta bounce. And then you're like, oh my God, okay, fine. So then you get to the fucking Citadel and you realize this motherfucker is fucking being possessed by the Hilden. You realize Kain was right. I should have kept this motherfucker there, but I have questions and now I have more questions. And, you know, you go through your part with Ariel, you know, dude bounces, you know, you have your fight with him and then he cuts out, he's flying around. Now you have a fucking blue possessed vampire, ancient vampire guy flying around at the worst time. Because now you're at the time that we're in when all this goes down is at the very end, towards the very end of the game of Blood Omen 1. So all this shit is going down at the fucking broken Citadel where the guardians of the pillars used to sit and govern the comings and goings of Nosgoth and basically the world, because now the world is tied to this shit somehow. Oh, hold on. There we go. Things are moving. And possessed, right? Yep. And possessed. You know, you got a Hilden in the body of its enemy that can fuel it forever. It's immortal. And it's got its heart back. It's ready with wings. What? Let's go. And I'm the 10th guardian in the pit. Let's go. That's my sword, bitch. And then he bounces because he's like, oh, okay, wait, maybe my sword's a little too strong for me right now. Let me go pump some iron. I'll be back for you, bitch. And then he flies out, and you're like, okay. And it's Raziel. You gotta figure out this forge shit and talk to Ariel, and then you imbue your blade with the fucking spirit Reaver essence, and you must rend what was put asunder. You must make it so the Scion of Balance can see his true enemy, because without you, he's not gonna be able to do his job. And you're like, what the fuck? Ariel knew this whole time. It was him. He was the one. Why didn't he suck her soul? Oh, because of the balance. Because Kain was alive. But Raziel can suck her soul regardless of the wheel. He doesn't need the elder god to find peace. And once Raziel realizes that's what the free will shit is all about, he's like, oh my god, I could have reaved her soul anytime. I didn't do it because I thought it was bad, but this is the release. This is it. This is the way out of this whole cycle. This asshole actually gave me the key to do it. So you take her soul, your shit's now fucking glowing white hot, like same white hot that burned your ass when Kain threw you in, which is why you can see what the elder god looks like. And then you go and you're like, all right, ready. Now how the fuck do I find Kain? And you go down there and you're like trying to hit the fucking elder god, swinging left and right, making your little sound effect, and the elder god's mocking you and laughing. And Tony J's having this way where you're like, ha, you can't hurt me while you're in that form. Nah, nah, nah. And any live form is not going to get down here, so you're fucked. Da, 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 da. He's like, all right. Kain's going to figure this out. Kain doesn't know shit. Kain is too stupid to understand what's really going on. He's swing first, ask questions later, and that's why he's gotten as far as he has. But Raziel realizes that Kain played the long game again and beat him at the cost of everything else, but he did not let him win. He did not let him take over this world. And now he understands. Now he understands what he has to do. So, boom. Kain sneaks up on Mobius. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. You have no idea what's going on. Stab, stab. Oh, don't worry. I'll see you again. My master will just bring me back, bitch. Later. And Mobius dies. And he gets dispatched. And he has his audience with the Elder God. And he's like, hi, my lord. I know you're here because he sees the infinity sign. That's why he has it on his head to invoke his Lord's presence. Invoke the Lord to talk to him. Yes, my ancient God, I have been prematurely dispatched by Kain, but if you would just permit me to oh, what the fuck is that? Ouch, how am I feeling right now? Raziel, what are you doing here? Hi. So I have a little something for you. I want you to see your God, finally, for the first time. Don't you think it's strange that you didn't see him when you died? Check this out. Voila. Poof. Tentacles everywhere. Oh my God. No. No. Yeah, now go feed it. Poof. Sends him into the mouth of his God. Oh my God. So good. So good, dude. So good. That's like the best stabby and Raziel. Stab. Oh my God. I love that. I love that scene. I love that scene so much because it's just like, that's it. This is what you get. This is what you get for being a little bitch. You didn't bother to even look at what you were doing. You blind fate. Oh, I heard a voice in my head. It must be God. It must be is responsible for all of this, that, and the other. It couldn't be anything else. That's why I can't see him, because of God, right? No, you can't see him because you are blind to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, this ain't all that it's like. This is not all that it's about. Listen, stop and listen. And that's that's the lesson for Mobius. But then the best part, my favorite part of the whole series happens when Raziel knows what he has to do. He gets into Mobius's body, and that's his way out of the spectral realm. He's not trapped anymore. They just gave him a way out. And he gets up as Mobius and goes, Kain, and Kain, without missing a beat. Do you enjoy the feel of my blade so much? No, he does not say that. Absolutely skewered, baby. Yeah. Do you enjoy death so much? Like, yes. And then his body fades away and it's Raziel. And Kane's like, Raziel, no. And he goes, yes. And he's like, no, hold it in. Hold it in. Hold it in. Don't let go. And it's just this moment of them being embraced by each other, with each one having a part of the Reaver, and him being the essence of the Reaver, letting it happen, just allowing himself to become what he's always been. He tells him, I'm not your enemy. I am what I've always been, your right hand. Now you see your true enemy. And he disappears and he fucking goes inside the blade. And Kane's face is he's mortified. You've never seen him in shock like that. Like his face is like, oh no. Whoa, no, what have I done? What is happening? What is happening? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Can someone tell me? Anybody? You're all dead. You cannot answer me. What is happening? And then he sees the Elder God. And he's like, oh my God, it's you. You're the cause of all of this shit. Fuck you. Swipes the tentacle away. Oh, ow, that hurt. Yeah, I bet it fucking did. Are you kidding me? You're the reason why I just lost my best friend. You're the reason why I had to do all this shit. You're the reason why the world was so fucked up. Why the Hilden got banished. You're the reason why they're not accepted. Look at you. What the fuck? You're the reason why the pillars are going into the high heavens and down here. You're the reason to feed you. You're the wheel. You're the wheel? Oh, I don't think so. Bam, 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 bam. Then the fight begins. Oh, it's so good. Mobius. Harder, baby. Kain. What? Mobius. What? What? Dude, I'm telling you. The sheer fact that now you're finally going to get to fight this thing that's been there since the first game. Since 1. And you're like, all right, let's do this. Like, you're going to fight a god. You're going to fight a god. AKA Elden Ring. You're going to fight a god. And you're like, let's go. And it's a tricky fight. It's rough. It is a little hard. Not going to lie. But, man, getting the timing right. Hitting that fucking tentacle with the Soul Reaver, with Raziel in your hand. Making that, both of you are like, take that. Fuck you. Ah! That felt good. I wanted nothing more than to fucking make sushi that day. I was so happy to be able to finally hurt this motherfucker. Make it hurt. Ah! Choni J's and ow! Oh! Raw! It felt great. It was really good. And you don't kill him, you know. You hurt him enough where he's like, I can't deal with you anymore. I'm going. He leaves. He goes further underground. And Kain tells him, you know, the elder guy, Tony J, is like, you cannot kill me, Kain. You can't get rid of me that easily. He goes, well, I got my friend here and me that say, you need to go away now. So burrow deep. And he goes, I'll always be here. And he goes, and I'll always be here when you come back. And that's that's like, whoa, my God, like you just told a god to fuck off like that. If that's not a nobleman aristocrat, like, Dad, are you proud of me? I saved the world and I told a god to go fuck off and I cut him with my charcuterie knife. I mean, pretty good, huh? That's it. That's it right there. Like, you go back to the Citadel and you see the aftermath of where Raziel fought Janice, and you're like, oh shit. And then there's your other paradox. The world shifts again. The fucking pillars crumble. Your younger self, now that the timeline has corrected itself, you're back. All this stuff has happened, but now the course correction is complete. It's done. Now there it is. It's done. The timeline is there. That's it. Now it's stapled. It's come full Finnegan's Wake around. Burrow deep. Yeah, man. I love that line, dude. It's so good. And now you're staring out towards the pillars that are crumbling. And you're watching them crumble and you're like, Raziel gave me that thing, that nasty ass shit. Thanks, buddy. Hope. I love it. It tastes horrible. But it's a niche thing, you know? And then that's it. Like, it ends there. It ends with the Elder God still being alive, burrowing deep. Janice Aldrin possessed by the Hilden, flying around. The fucking pillars are broken. Your younger self is walking around fine, and you're there. Now, you don't look like you did before. Not totally, you know? You have 3 claws instead of 5 fingers. Your head's kind of Hilden-y. You do have vampirism because you have the dark gift via the Heart of Darkness. That's how you will be able to come back, like Ori said. But they took it out of you, so now you're just like an immortal kind of Hilden vampire. Like, I don't even know if you need to feed as Kain. You know what I mean? Like, this whole thing left us with a lot of questions. You know, and we're not getting any new material. We're getting maybe in the remaster for Soul Reaver 1 and 2, like content that was out of it. Maybe the option to play the game OG and play it, you know, with the content intact. Because you can do that. Fans, you know, set that up. They did that. But I don't know what they're doing with all that. I kind of didn't want to spoil it for myself until the 10th, you know. Figuring out all the stuff, which I'm super excited. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I am going to scream and yell, get frustrated because it's so easy to get lost. There's so many paths to take. There's so many secrets to find and glyphs to connect and stuff like that for your health pool and shit. It's wild. So I have the books where they are. I know what room they're in. Where they are in that room, that I don't know. But, you know, the series ends with, like, legit game that came out. You know, the series ends with Kain overlooking the end of Blood Omen 1. So that's where the whole Finnegan's reference, you know, Finnegan's Wake reference comes in, where it's just a loop. Or he says it really does leave us with questions. Yeah, like what do you do now? You have, like, the Hilden aren't your enemy. And you know why. You know why they were banished in the first place. And it wasn't, you know, based on what you and Raziel found, it was all because the Elder God couldn't deal with them. So now they're coming back. You know, and we don't know, humans don't know about the Hilden. So we don't know how long in the past that happened before humans were a thing. Because no human talks about the Hilden. No one talks about them. The only, from my take, the only reason why Mobius even knows anything about a threat is because the Elder God said, the pillars protect us from the Hilden. That's it. You know, that's it. You know, Like, that's all he has to go. Like, he doesn't really have to say anything else because Mobius is blind to it. And the Hilden are possessing Mortanius, and he's not letting anybody know. You know, had Mobius seen a little quirkiness in him, maybe this would have been a little different, but Mortanius was very careful. Well, not him himself, but the Hilden were very careful to only take over when they could. And they were struggling to do so towards the end before they meet Raziel in his body, you know, after the fight with Terrell, when we kill him and release him. You know, that's another thing. We have a lot of questions still. Like, was it Mortanius and Mobius? Like, I like to think of them bringing him back, or shit, geez. I mean, at the time that they're in, Mobius could have gotten the Guardian of the Pillar of Dimensions to bring him. I mean, they're worshiping this person, and this has been going on for a while. The pillars have been corrupted for 30 years. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Kain left in the first place. Maybe his parents said, "Hey, you know what? You should go and do things." But it doesn't seem that way. It seems like Kain just like, okay, I'm ready to go. But like, vampires are a thing. The pillars are corrupted. Who's running the thing? I don't know. I guess the nobles are running it, because again, the nemesis is making its way through everything. Because again, when Kain in 1 infiltrates the nemesis stronghold in the past as King William the Just, when he's still King William the Just, and he and him fight with 2 Soul Reavers and Kain kills him, it changes the timeline. Now the nemesis is not making his way, sweeping across the nation while the pillars are weak and other shit's happening. No. Now, because King William the Just was killed by a vampire, everyone's upset, and now there's a vampire crusade. And now Kain realizes that he was set up by Mobius to kill William the Just, to spurn on the vampire crusade, to eliminate vampires so that he and his friends will be the only ones with power over the pillars. The pillars will not have a choice but to call upon humans now for their further powers, their further station, their further protection and locking of the pillars are basically a giant lock to a big door that keeps the Hilden out. And the key is not to have the lock fucking break. That's the key. If the lock breaks, then the key for the Hilden, it becomes open, and they can leak out, and they can wreak havoc. And that's where we are by the end of Blood Omen. The portals in Avernus are being opened. The Hilden lock is broken. It's collapsing, and restoring them is holding it back. So as you play the game and the gray ashen ones become white, you know, like, oh, it's pushing him back and pushing him, especially when you go to Avernus and you kill that lady and you fucking get the Soul Reaver and you close that shit and it's done, and you come back and you replace her thing. That really puts a big band-aid on the problem. But since we don't know the source of what's going on, we're not sure. All we know is what Ariel told us. Restore the symbolic item that binds them to the pillars with their essence, and all will be well. Not telling you that in order to actually lock this thing back up, you have to die. So by the end of 1, when you're staring out there and you're looking at the world that your younger self is about to create, you understand now, and you're okay with your decision because you know now what you didn't know back then. You didn't know that the vampires were in charge of keeping the Hilden out. Okay, fine. But are the Hilden really bad? The vampires were serving a god that they didn't know was a fucking parasite. Now that we know, do we even care? I guess I made the right decision after all, because I don't have a beef with them. I went to their dimension. It was quite awful. I feel sorry for them, I think, a little bit. I think they're more than welcome to come back. Fuck it. That's what I took from Defiance. because we weren't getting any more, not unbeknownst to me. I didn't know. I thought, oh, well, maybe we'll follow Kain, try to hunt down Janice and get more answers. Maybe Kain wants to figure out a way to get Razi out of the sword. I have no idea. I would just speculate on what the next game would bring because I thought surely we would get one. And then we didn't. We got, I found out about Dead Son through Cook when it was shortly after it was leaked from whoever leaked it, the half an hour footage from one of the developers that was very upset about what happened. A lot of people have either taken credit or said so-and-so did it, or we don't know 100% who that individual was. We have a name handle. That's it. It's been years. Nobody cares. It's not a game that's made. It's not coming out. They're not doing anything with it. It's okay. But do I blame them? No, because you guys worked on this thing and no one told you that the whole team and everything was done. They just let you work because they weren't ready to tell you. They had other things and they figured, well, we're going to pull the resources and make money and then downsize and then get rid of this and it'll be fine. And then we'll break everything up and cut our losses and write it off as our taxes because that's what they do. So that being said, I definitely understand why someone who did something that was as beautiful as Dark Sun was becoming wanted people to see what they were doing and what they put their heart, blood, sweat, and tears into before they were told, yeah, you know what, we're just scrapping this. Like all this work you've been doing for all these months or a year or however long you guys were working on this, yeah, we're not doing it. Bye. That is hard. That is hard because you have to put a lot of you into your work. That's why a lot of people, let's say like people who work fast, they're not really there. They're thinking of the next step. You have to be in the present. At work, I might take a little longer to do something, but it looks very sexy. It looks professional grade, high end material shit. It looks like you bought this from the people who manufacture the big shit that it goes into, like as a part of their shit. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I've been told that. But, my goal, I would love to be faster. But I don't want to sacrifice quality for speed. And with this game series, it became a very delicate balance between let's get this out fast, but we want to tell a story. We need to get these out, but we want the fans to come back. So the position that, everybody was in when they were, especially working on Soul Reaver, after everything that happened with Crystal Dynamics and Silicon Knights, and now, okay, we have this game, we're going to use this thing, we're going to use that, we're using pieces from this game that we were working on in that game, and these aren't going to be separate, they're going to be together, we're revamping, we're reskinning, we're redoing, we're rehauling, like that's a lot of time, and then to make the game, which is why emboldened with the idea and the scope of the story that they wanted to tell so far into the future, where they had a lot of elbow room and a lot of creativity to go anywhere they wanted. They did the same thing, they went, well, we can only do this much now because we went way off the chains. So to make a story based on all this material that you already had flushed out and cram it down, it's like taking a meal and putting it into a space can, like Thanksgiving dinner, but now it's in a Campbell's Hardy can, and there's special instructions on how to heat this up so it tastes just right. That's sort of what happened with Soul Reaver 1. But because of that, because they were able to keep a few things in that hinted towards other things, and because the game was so successful, because it was very unique, very, very, very different for the time, but new in the sense of, as well, like here we're using this new engine, we're using this, we want to, let's see what this machine can do. The performance aspect, that took a lot as well. So in the end, you had a good game, a great story, but you needed more, and people wanted more. And they got it. Let's see what Ori said. Because it's like you really don't win in a matter of speaking, at least not in a permanent or definite sense. Yeah. It's like you got to this point where you got to smack a god on the ass. Was that your goal in life? Your goal originally was to get rid of your vampirism, but you can't do that. And now you really can't do that because you got it. It was taken away. You're still alive. Hilden or no, whatever you are beyond what you were, and you can never go back. And when that clicks as well, and especially when you're sitting there like watching this and then like the credits start rolling, you're like bewildered again. What the fuck did I just play? You're left with hope. But it's not just Kain that has hope. Me, as the player, I'm hoping that we get some resolution with Janice. I'm hoping that we see Raziel again, even if it's just Kain talking to him in the sword. We're hoping that Ariel did move on. We're hoping that we can reason with our younger selves and get into exploring more answers because we don't want to turn the world into shit. We're hoping for a rematch with the Elder God and really in this time killing this motherfucker. You know, we're hoping to end the curse and you know, Janice is the last of the ancient vampires, so he's the last one. So if he's able to reproduce and maybe hold on to his immortality enough to like, and then he could die because he might just turn into dust when they reverse the curse. You know, we don't know. What I do know is that there's a lot of possibilities for that ending to go in a lot of different directions. I don't know where they were gonna go, but I know from the interviews, from everybody who, you know, worked on that project for Raziel, just in terms of Raziel's aspect as a character, he's done. There's no more Raziel. Like, he's in the sword. He's Kain's right hand. And now Kain's basically, you know, a solo act with his friend on his back, you know. But then, you know, where does that leave Kain? Now we're back to Kain. Raziel's made peace with what he had to do. He met his fate head on. He accepted it. And he went into the sword. Like he was always destined to do. Even though he had free will, he did it because he knew it was the only way Kain was going to be able to do what he needed to do. So in the end, all the shit that Mobius, the Elder God, all the manipulations, all the bullshit, it all led him to the same spot that Kain didn't want him to be, but that they did, but not in the way that they wanted. They wanted him to kill Kain in any way, shape, or form he could. Instead, he became the 10th Guardian. He became what Janice Aldrin was. He became the bearer of the light to see and shine where no one else could and show Kain who his enemy truly was. And that, boop, book closed, done. Perfect. Now Kain's got to figure out what he's going to do. He doesn't even know what he is. Maybe the next game would have been, which is what I thought, was him like traversing Nosgoth now that the Elder God is like recessed down, kind of go back, look, find more underground shit from the ancient ruins, from the vampires, see what he can see, find out what he can find about himself. And still have to deal with the threat of Janice flying around, bringing Hilden, probably Janice making base at Avernus Cathedral. That makes the most sense to me. I mean, fuck, he's an angel, for Christ's sake. You know, what other place? You know, he's a fucked up looking angel right now. Pretty cool, I gotta say. I love the way they designed him when he gets all possessed. But it's a vampire angel possessed by a demon. It's so like, what is that sentence? What is that sentence right there that I said? A vampire angel dressed, possessed as a demon. Like, that's what he is. And you're thinking, oh my God, Raziel had to fight this guy? What the fuck am I going to do with this dude? You know, then you got to kind of have to think, well, Kain needs to find him to talk. And then with everything happening in this one, Vorador still dies. He gets killed. So how the fuck is he alive in 2? I don't know. But maybe Kain, being all cyan and balancy, maybe he can resurrect him. And that's how Vorador is there. Because he's like surprised to see him, but not really. You know, in part 2, it's like oh, you, huh. I can't show my surprise and alarm, but later we'll talk, you know, kind of thing. Maybe Kain brings him back. This Kain, not an OG Kain. Maybe that's why he doesn't know he's alive. Maybe he brings him back and it says, listen, my younger self is going to come recruit you for some bullshit later on. You know, help me out. All right. Peace. Or he brings him back and they don't meet him. And that's why with the new memories, when he sees Vorador, he's kind of like, perplexing. You know, maybe Vorador becomes one of the Pillar Guardians. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. Throwing orange tornadoes. Very interesting contrast between Kain and Raziel, Ori says. Kain says Raziel decided to sacrifice himself while Kain decides not to. Right. Well, that's it. But that's the thing. Is like Kain is the scion of balance. But it looks like he's also the prophesied hero of both sides. Not just one. Or they're both the prophesied hero. They just have different roles. Raziel's the weapon where Kain is the wielder of the weapon. And both of them have the will and the wisdom because they both know the same shit. They both know what they're after. And now that Raziel's in the sword, Kain is like at the helm. All right, Kain, what are we doing? Where are we going? Are we going to go after Janice? Are we going to see about the pillars? Are we going to let them crumble? How do we stop this whole thing from happening? How do we keep the future that we know from happening? I'm always going to be the Wraith and the Sword. It doesn't matter now from this point on. So do you go resurrect my brothers? Do we stop your younger self from doing that? There's a bunch of shit. There's a bunch of ways that this can go play out. What their travels are. Because the young version of himself, and again, it's a paradox because he's in the timeline that he shared. But he's been time streaming so much, I think it just I think it's just like scratched off his serial number, you know, filed it off. I mean, again, he can come up and be like, yo, you know Vorador, you know Vorador died. Yeah, it's okay. You're not the last vampire. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I like it. It's dark. It's dark and creepy. You know, you're not the last vampire anymore. Let's go have a drink and talk. Don't mind the hole in my chest. It's fine. It's fine. Never mind that. I'll explain it later. You know, and then just let him know what the fuck. It's his choice whether he believes him or not, but at least give him a benefit of the doubt that he's like, okay, I may be having a conversation with my extremely older self. This is the future neither of us wants. What are we going to do to change this? You know? So I don't know. I don't know where it was really perplexing back in the early 2000s to like speculate where they could go for with the story. Like where are they going to go from there? We have pretty much two bad guys that are still alive. I mean, Janice, he's not really bad. They're just mad. They're upset. They're upset kiddos. They're like, we got kicked out of the cool club. Thanks. We got kicked out of the cool club. We want the cool club back. We want to be let into the cool club. And that's the Hilden's objective. They want to get back to home. So we know what possessed Janice, we'll call him possessed Janice wants. We know that young Kain does not want to die. Because in that instance right there, a few other things could happen, because I often speculated when I was young and throughout the years, waiting for more to come out, that if Kain kills himself, if he chooses the other option that we had in Blood Omen 1, then the Kain that we have with us now would cease to exist. The Soul Reaver would just fall at the Citadel, and Kain would be there, but also Janice, possessed by the Hilden, would be there. And then the pillars are done. And then what? Janice finds Kain and goes, "Oh, Kain, well done. What are you talking about? Who are you? I see. So the pillars. No on the pillars. Didn't want to reestablish the lock. I don't even know what you're talking about. No, it's fine. So I'm going to go and leave you to your kingdom. Yes, more vampires is good. You mind if I have a go at it myself? Sure. Have at it. See you later. And then Janice just flies off, possessed Janice just flies off and starts opening holes to bring the Hilden in. Talks to Kain and says, "Yeah, that's the Hilden. We were here, and then me, Blue, here too, and they're not, because I won, and them, yes, more, because holes making I." And then there you have it. Then once the Hilden are back, they kill Janice. He's the last one. Problem solved. They stab the heart. It's no longer a thing. And then, because now there's 2 Janice Aldrum hearts walking around. Like, how do you rectify it? There's so many paths. What is it? What the fuck? Is Janice gonna go over to Kain, young Kain? They can't have 2 Janice hearts. Now Kain, young Kain's dead, old Kain's dead, because now he's gone, so he disappears. Like, what the fuck? Or PJ for short. PJ. Fucking PJ. Gangsta PJ. Yeah, it's already very, 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 quite very, very, very speculative on the direction that the story could go. And then we had, Dark Sun, which never came out. It never was a thing. I'm going to start throwing some... I say some, like, no. I'm going to plug in the artist one more time, and I'm going to plug in that video. I highly recommend anyone who's interested in how the games play out, that aren't going to watch them, that aren't going to play them, check out this video and, like, the setup, because it gives you as much history as you possibly can have with how the games were set up in development, what the pros and cons have been in experience with the games, from many people, the fandom, and also the wiki. But this guy puts this really... I just recently listened to it yesterday again for the first time in a while. I heard it years ago. It's old, like it's 3 years old, so it's been a minute. This was pre even announcement that the remaster was going to come out. But it's very well done. It's a really good retrospective deep dive into the games, why they're so loved by the fans, why we've been holding out hope, as Kain says, for more. Because I didn't know about the Nosgoth thing. There was a online multiplayer of Nosgoth where it is Kain leaves to go explore the time stream, and while he's gone, the land is split up between vampire factions fighting vampire hunter factions. So while Kain's gone doing his thing, you have, you have this, and this was out. This takes place, sometime after Blood Omen 1. This is when Nosgoth is still like, here we go, I'm pretty sure it's Blood Omen 1 because it's not steampunky. There's not, again, that's a different timeline anyway. The whole of Nosgoth took a whole different turn with the Hilden running everything. That's the Hilden you get to see Nosgoth with the Hilden running the show. And again, you're like, what the fuck, man? It doesn't matter who's in charge. It's both bad, But with Nosgoth, it's an online multiplayer game, and it was kind of like Halo, like a free-for-all, like, teams or, capture the flag kind of stuff, or King of the Hill rather. And just factions. It was like, like what we have today, like Fortnite and Overwatch and shit like that. Like, that's what it is. Valorant and stuff. Just fight. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's fight. And I thought that was a cool concept. It didn't last long. But then they had Black Sun. Like, I found out about Black Sun, and I was crushed because same thing I found out about Nosgoth. Cook's like, so I'm going to tell you this thing, but I don't want you to get mad. You're probably gonna, because it's no longer a thing, but it was. But I wanted you to know that there is a thing. And he told me about Nosgoth, and I was like, man, fuck, I would have played that shit. I know. Not that I had the means, but I would have figured out a way. And then I find out about Dark Sun. And then I talked to Cook. He goes, I knew about it. I didn't want to tell you about it because, once again, it's not a thing. And I'm like, I know. And I appreciate you not telling me. I'm glad I found out on my own. I'm still crushed. And he's like, I know. But not as crushed as me telling you. And I said, right. You are so correct. I watched the entire video of Dark Sun. I even watched the behind. I haven't been able to find the behind video I watched of Dark Sun. So I watched this video, and it led me to the actual video, the 30 minutes of Dark Sun gameplay footage for the game that never was. And the little thing that I saw before, I can't find it anywhere. It was like it wasn't behind the scenes, but it was like someone talking about what went down to their knowledge, anything that was like talked about on the internet, anything they referenced, interviews with what was going on, what they were legally able to talk about, what they couldn't. They're still legally not able to talk about certain things all these years later. So there's a lot. But basically, like I said earlier, they weren't sure if it was going to be successful. And that's scary. Because, it's a money thing. You know what I mean? It's not about, let's make this story, let's continue the story. And the whole idea was awesome. Like, the premise of the game was great. It's X amount of 100 years in the future, from the events of XYZ, and the first baby is born in Nosgoth. They haven't had a son. Like, there's a lot. And for like the vampires have done their whatever, and a baby is born, and they're celebrating it in this village, and the village is attacked, and everybody's killed. Or if the baby's not born, it's she's pregnant. I can't remember. But I'm going to send the link along here so that we all know the things, because don't quote me. But the wraith that kills the lead gets somehow fused with his soul, and now he's in his body. So they're constantly talking to each other. And that's another thing. I was like, oh my God, I would have loved this, because that's Kain talking all the way back in Blood Omen 1. That was a thing. And they have these whole cinematics, and you can hear him in his head, but you can also like see them talking to each other and like see the echoes of the past, because he has all this knowledge of what places used to look like. Oh my God, it would have been such an amazing, way ahead of its time, but it was such a great concept. And it's removed from the main characters, yet there's going to be a little history tidbits here and there about the land, about Kain, but mostly it's this new character in this world that we know, but it's totally different. Like, there's shipping docks, like human progression has been there. There are still vampire hunters, there are monster hunters. There's a bunch of this world that was going to be opened up to us in this time frame, and we didn't get it. And I was just so crushed. I was so crushed, because me being a big fan, I was like, yes, finally, yeah, here we are. Here we are. We've made it. We've made it to the next chapter. And then we didn't get it, and I'm like, well, that I guess we didn't make it to the next chapter. So Nosgoth, plugging in the timeline to where Kain, chronologically is in Nosgoth's this timeline technically, and then having Dark Sun, touching on environmental shit that occurred, having the different peoples of the world, like how they are, because everyone's like a fucking vampire or a fucking this or a fucking that, or it's wild. Like it just, the idea of it expanding on a world that was affected like that. That's why Elden Ring is so, like, when you go into a world where people don't die and they're not giving birth, it's like, oh my God, am I in Nosgoth? Is this what it's like to live in a world where your aspirations can be attained, because you don't have to worry about, like, people still get killed, but you're immortal. Time is not something that's a problem for you. You can observe it just like everybody else, but it doesn't affect you. That's fucking crazy. Oh, Ori says Nosgoth is no more, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. I only heard about it just before the server shut down. I was very sad. Me too. I found out maybe a month, 3 weeks before they were shutting down. I found out about it. Yeah. I just crushing, because I would have loved to have tinkered with that just a little bit, I had to. Come on, it's fucking Legacy of Kain, And in that world that I love, I've come to love Nosgoth so much. So when I'm playing Elden Ring, I'm trampsing around as if... Dude, Limgrave looks like Nosgoth. It looks like the first place you start running around in Blood Omen 1 and in Soul Reaver 2. It's the same area. And the same area that you end the game in Defiance looks like Limgrave. And the Weeping Peninsula, it looks like that luscious green with all these structures and stuff. And like, imagine all those broken pieces of Fair Missoula just being broken pieces of the pillars of Nosgoth just raining down on. Like, that's how I imagine it. I'm like, I'm trancing around Nosgoth. I need to make a Legacy of King character for Elden Ring. That's it. It's over. I'll have to figure out who I want it to be. Do I want to be a vagabond? I feel like I should be a character I've never played with, but then I'm like, oh, then it's gonna be terrible. I was struggling with this character. But I still have hope, just like Kain. I still have hope that we're gonna get more. I mean, we're gonna get this graphic novel. I did go ahead and back the graphic novel. I didn't know about the Kickstarter until it closed, but it wasn't ended. It's still open until like December something. Um, it could be December 10th. It could be until the game comes out, because I keep getting these emails about instructions on how to get your name in the game for supporting the Kickstarter. And at this point, I'm just like, if I have to do extra shit, I might not do it. I don't care. I just want to play. I want to play this game. It's one of the games I've wanted to stream for years. I'm like, as soon as I figure out how to do it, and now that I know how to do it, I'm like, okay, as soon as I set up my studio and have time to coordinate shit, I just set it all up. I will. And it's like, oh my God, there's no time. But when you're immortal, you have all the time, and it's not a problem. And you can sit and watch things and deduce and figure it out. But in Kain's case, he's like, yeah, you know what I figured out? I figured out that I have to go back in time so that this doesn't happen, because no one's happy here. The world is a fucking nightmare. And then Raziel goes beyond that. He comes back when it's fucked up and Kain's been gone. And all Kain said to any of his brothers was, hey, just heads up, Raziel's gonna come back and he's gonna kill you all. Okay, bye. And he leaves, and they're like, wait, Raziel, but he's dead. Right? Did we killed him, right? Didn't we kill that? We killed him, right? Right. Yeah, no, we killed him. No, he's dead. Oh, he's gone. Shit. Graphic novel? Yes, Ori. So there is a graphic novel that you could probably still get on the Kickstarter. Soul Reaver graphic novel. It's a hardcover. It is not like the other two comics. So I have the original comic from Legacy Kain Soul Reaver when it first came out. And then I have that's the cover of the first Soul Reaver video game. It's the same as the comic. Then I have the Defiance, both covers, A and B, for Legacy Kain Defiance when that came out. This is not them. This is a whole different thing that they made to kickstart backing, I guess, the game remaster and like other stuff. I forget where all the money went. I'm pretty sure it was towards the remaster. But I'm tangled. I'm not tangled. It's an origin of sorts of like Raziel and Kain and Nosgoth, like how the world was when the vampires were running the show, as Kain being the vampire god and Raziel his lieutenant, and so on and so forth. And it looks gorgeous. Oh my God, I've only seen a few pages and the cover is gorgeous. I will put a link in here as well. There's a few links I'm gonna put in before I wrap this up. But I'm glad I got to pop off this podcast, because I've been wanting to have a podcast and talk about this video game series for a while. It is my favorite. My favorite video game trilogy, like series, is the Enix trilogy of Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terra Nigma. I know I've said this many times. That's it. There was all on Super NES. My favorite for NES is Castlevania. I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and mostly everybody in my life, or even on Twitch, like they know I'm Castlevania. My room has Castlevania posters. Castlevania. I might not like all of the Castlevania games, but I'm a huge Castlevania fan. I love the lore. I love the stories. That's what really gets me. But for PlayStation 1 and 2, because that, like, when I was younger, I didn't have Xbox. I was a PlayStation gal, and the Soul Reaver franchise was the one that stuck out to me by far, 100% more than anything else, more than Vagrant Story, which is one of my favorite games on PlayStation. And it's a turn-based time attack game, and I hate those, but I love Vagrant Story. It's so good. It fucking rocks. It's like a comic book that's alive. But Soul Reaver, Blood Omen, Legacy Kain series, hands down the best for me series on the PS1 and 2 of all time, hands down. I now I don't have a favorite series at all. Like I like the Souls series. I had a lot of fun with Dark Souls. It was more that for me. It was like what Castlevania 3D should have been like. um, I love Dark Souls 3. I love Elden Ring. I'm a huge. You guys know the lore of Elden Ring. I'm constantly talking about it. I love playing it. I love imagining the world and reimagining it and reimagining it and reimagining it. That's the beauty of it. That's one of the things that Nosgoth has, because you don't know enough about it. You know some things, but you don't know enough about it to make a definite, like, no, this goes here and that's there and blah, blah, blah. You don't have that. You have timelines. Whereas Elden Ring's landscape is a fucking timeline. Like, it shows you, because all of it is layered upon layered upon layered upon layered upon layered. Most of Nosgoth's history is hidden. And for those of you who want to seek it, which you have to in the game in order to progress, you find out these things. And normally, no one even has access to these places. You know, you have a fucking spectral wraith that's popping in and out of existence. You know, and then you have Kain, who's a fucking balanced scion vampire guy. So, you know, you need a means to get there. So not everybody can go. I mean, in Elden Ring, you're fucking, you know, some say you're a demigod, but you're a tarnished who's special because grace has returned to you. Where other people, it doesn't really come back to. But that was all a part of her plan. Go America. But you're looked upon as this thing. Like, oh, you're one of those. So you had grace, but you don't have it anymore. It was taken from you. So you're marked. Your eyes are dim. That's your mark. It's not this big gash on your forehead or a tattoo or some shit. Like, that's your eyes tell us. It's like you're ill. And with these, especially Kain's like, well, I got a hole in my chest. I'm fucking got my friend on my back, and I know too much. What do I do? Like, how do you have your first conversation should be with a puppy. Don't eat the puppy. But the first conversation should be with someone who can't possibly understand what you're saying. So they won't rationalize with you. They might just lick your feet or your hand, your little claw there. Could you just imagine a chocolate lap just going up and licking the claw of Kain while he's sitting there looking at it, pondering, leaning up against Raziel as he's the Soul Reaver now, going, debating whether he's hungry. Like, oh my God. That's what I imagine that Kain spent some time doing. Just kind of laying low and trying to figure shit out. Knowing what he did. He already knows where he's gonna be if he can remember all that shit. Because that's a lot to remember. But he knows. He knows where he's going. So he's kind of like keeping an eye on himself. That's how I see it. I see it like that. Because, again, if you sit down, you'll give yourself a headache thinking about all the different ways that he could have continued and how the next game would have played out. And I found it a little bit of a relief, like a breath of fresh air, a breath of fresh air, but like also a little disturbing that like the next installment was going to be Dark Sun, where you have a whole different landscape in the same place, different characters, different dynamic, everything new and fresh, but leads little tidbits. And it's like, wow, that's cool too. You don't, again, they had so much success with making Raziel having another person to focus on that's not Kain. And we just played Kain and Raziel to death in Defiance. I think that's cool. So now it's like, if you're revamping this game, you got the graphic novel coming out with the whole like, hey, this is the history of the franchise that you know and love so much. This is our view of how it happened and the stuff you didn't see from the original. Da-da-da. Make it nice, right? Because it's rather big. where do you go from there? You know, if this is a tie-in to Soul Reaver 1 and perhaps 2, I don't know how they're doing it. But if it's a tie-in to at least 1, like the first comic book was, then either the medium may shift to more of that vein, which I'm totally down with getting graphic novels. Shit, if I have to experience Legacy of Kain in a graphic novel, oh my God. I'm totally okay with that. I love that idea. If you're not going to make games, give me something. They didn't even come out with comic books. That's how bad. I was like, damn, y'all couldn't even I thought for sure do a manga or an anime. Have like a mini, the 8 episodes. Boom, 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 boom. That way you can kick off into the next game and down the road if you so choose. Seeing as this is so popular, people want it, you can go ahead and go, okay, greenlight that project. And then now 2 years later, with a year and 4 months interval of just a plethora of short bursts of, hey, this is where we're at so far, you know, a concept art shot here, this, that way we know, oh, it's coming down the pipe. It's, oh my God, I can't wait. Oh my God, they're working on it. Oh my God, because in the back of your mind, that, oh my God, is still going to be going on, even if you find out anything new or not. But when you do, that dopamine shot, oh my God, it's coming. That is what we live for. That's why we buy your shit. That would have been good. So I'm kind of getting that with the Kickstarter. Not so much with the game itself, but with the fucking all the merchandise and stuff that's going in behind this Kickstarter, not just the graphic novel. Oh man, it's beyond. It is beyond. And I'm getting emails like every fucking day. Update on the Kickstarter. Like, this is what's going on. Most people are like, I want my name. When is my name going to be on there? You'll get in there or you won't. It doesn't matter. We're getting to play Soul Reaver refleshed out 1 and 2, which are both like the good ones. And a whole new generation is going to get exposed to this because most people who've played the series were exposed to Soul Reaver 1 before they even heard of fucking Legacy of Kain. Then they went back to find Blood Omen 1 and were like, oh, this is weird. This is not 3D. It's top down. I don't know if I like this. Kind of. And some people didn't like. Other people were like, oh, this is so rad. I'm like, how did I miss this? How did I not know about this game? Who was in charge of publicizing this? They did bad. And then it was like, okay. Now they're seeing like, oh, people are playing 1. They're talking about 1. All right, cool. People really liked it. And that people from the past are happy with Soul Reaver. They thought it was a great addition. They got to see Kain in the future. You know, like there was all this buzz about it. And then the second one came out and it was just like, whoa, let's go. And then Blood Omen 2 came out and it was like, what is going on? This is not the Kain I want to play. Like at first, it's like, yeah, we're getting to play Kain. That's why Defiance, I think one of the big reasons why Defiance did so well was because you got to really play Kain the way that people feel and have felt that they should redo Blood Omen 1 like the rest of the games. 3D, you know, but make Blood, if you're going to fucking do that, you have to have a free camera for Blood Omen 1. I'd say go all out and just redo Blood Omen 1. Keep the storyline the same. Keep the voices the same. Don't even change. You have all the material. Just change the gameplay. Change the look. Let us see where we are. Let us explore this Nosgoth that we only know this way. And then have a field day with that. And not have to worry about any changing of any voice. If you want to add some new shit, by all means, but you have to keep the same voice actors. They are still alive. The only one that I know of that has passed is Tony J. I might actually be able to sit down and read it. Yeah. I'm going to put it in there right now. First things first. First thing, I'd like to thank everybody who popped in this podcast. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I know you guys have heard me say it a lot. And you guys who are listening to this in the future, hello and welcome to the past. I am your host, Captain Exit. This has been an adventure. It got off to a bumpy start. So I'd like to thank everybody who came in, who's still here from the beginning, who popped in, who remembered it was going on, who made it, who had things to discuss, who gave me points to discuss prior to the podcast, things that I've been talking with people privately, behind the scenes on what things I want to focus on telling. I don't want to give a whole play-by-play of the game. I want to discuss like pivotal moments of what the moment where I discovered this in the game, the moment where I first saw that. Oh my God, because it's those moments that really stick with you. I mean, you're in the chat right now, or you know what it was like to find your grave for the first time in the game and realize what Kain did. And you're going, man, this guy is fucking foul. To find out, that Mobius doesn't actually know what the Elder God looks like. He just can hear him. He doesn't know what he's serving. That might come in handy later. Okay. So he's being manipulated. He doesn't even know, getting to fight all your brothers. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of gimmick fights. I want my skill to be the determining factor, but they're good. They're good fights. They're good, creepy, environmental. Oh my God, it's so creepy. Especially Zephyr. Zephyr is like the creepiest one. The one that scared me the most was Rahab, because of the water. The moment you get into the water, you shift back into the spectrum. You gotta climb the platforms all the way back up, shift back into the material, and then try again. And at first, I didn't know what to do. And Cook is like, you gotta shoot the glass. And I'm like, I need to let the stained glass, I need to shoot the stained glass and let the light in. Got it. That will kill him. But I got to be careful. Okay. Because I was like, I don't know how to fight this guy. Because again, you're like, you can't just go head on. It's not Elden Ring. You can't just go, all right card, let's go. Nope. You have to think about how to slay these giant vampire brothers. You have these mutated giant vampire brothers that you have because of time. They have turned into these things, not to mention the pollution. But again, you're kind of dead. That shouldn't bother you. It's literally just time. Thousands of years of evolution, the dark gift morphing you into this. And again, you think about it, they morphed into these respective things around their surroundings because the pillars of Nosgoth are broken. They can't direct anyone to be the new pillar. The balanced scion is still alive, so they can't re-coordinate themselves to start choosing new people. That is the thing. It's like the pillars are still defunct now. In the time we leave Kain, there are no more pillars. They're crumbling. The lock is broken. The Hilden are coming. Their fucking boss is flying around in Janice's body, and then here we are. So again, there's 2 Kains, and there's a whole big mess. Absolutely right, Ori. But that's where we left with a wonderful story, and we still have hope. We're left with hope. Kain's left with hope. That's where we leave it, and that's where we're gonna leave it until we get more. Hopefully we do. I don't give a flying ass fuck if they go to Nosgoth and go into the past when the ancient vampire angel people and the Hilden were at war. That would be a fabulous. I'd rather go back in the past, in the future. We've already been to the future several times, different ones. We've been into the later past several different futures, several different presents. We need to go back. We need to go back to where the blue skin race first encounters the elder god and what's going on. How the whole, because you can play a story about, you don't even, I mean, Janice could be there. We could have a Janice. His unfortunately, yes, it's another voice actor that did pass away as well. But you could still do this story, Janice, no Janice, with another character, one that can actually fly. Imagine being able to play one of the ancient blue angel vampires. Just imagine that for a moment. For those of you who have played the game and have flown around and glided around with Raziel, just imagine instead of having to just rely on gliding, you could fly. You could fly around these specific areas that, like, just like Kain flew around. He couldn't control where he was going. He had to go to a specific place. But you flew around and made travel easier. Imagine being able to do that. Imagine having aerial attacks to fight Hilden with. That's the kind of shit I want to see. I want to see what went down. I want to see what the fuck is what happened to cause this. Why the elder god said, all right, blue people, hear me out. Renee, thank you. Renee, I do not know how to pronounce his last name, but I know that there is a terminal. I think it's in Holland. It could be in Norway. That's named after him. Otto from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That's how I remember him a lot of the time. But Renee, yes, Renee. You could do a lot there. You could do a Hilden. You could play as a Hilden. You could have the game set up back and forth just like Defiance. You've already done it where you play both of them. You play one character from each side and you see how the things got so fucked up so bad. We get to play out the history. I would love something like that. That's brilliant. That gives us more history about the world that we came to know and love and tramps around in 5 fucking games, and give a little some answers as to why this all happened in the first place, because we're not going to get the answers to the questions that we have already. So then here's more. Why don't we give them the answers to the beginning? Put a little cap end on it. Say, hey, this is how it started. And that's what led to what you're going to see in the events of Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, then the timeline shift with Blood Omen 2, then Defiance. Like, that's why you're seeing this. That's why this whole thing goes down. I know, right, Hori? So that's what I would love. I would love that. But getting back to the thank yous, because it's going to be time to wrap this up, because editing this is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I try to leave myself enough airy gaps, but when I get on a tangent, that's what podcasts are for, at least in my opinion. My podcasts are like that, especially with Rake. When you get going, it's just like, you got to get it out. I've been trying to get this out for so long. Now that it's out, I feel like 10 pounds lighter. But let's see, what was I gonna do? Okay, so I put the artist LadySaraphan in the chat. There we go. So I have to get to YouTube. The retrospective is on YouTube. And I have been playing a lot of music, working on my DJ set on YouTube to figure out which mixes I want, which I don't, what remixes. So bear with me. Okay, I just found it. There it is. By YourFavoriteSon. I couldn't remember. I knew Son was in there somewhere, but I could not remember. All right. But this has been amazing. This has been so much fucking fun. I appreciate everybody who swung by the Discord. um, who popped in today. And now I have to plug in the novel. So that's my next step. That's what I'm doing here. I'm playing with the controls. Kickstarter. It should have just popped up. I'm not sure why, because I had to search for it a few times on my phone. So I'm surprised it didn't just, there it is. Okay. Prequel graphic novel. Why won't it just let me copy the link? Okay, I got it. It was being a little bit of a ugh. All right, and that's the graphic novel. Perfect. All right. So we got that. We did everything. Give that a look-see. It looks brilliant. You'll get to see the other merchandise they're working on with the Kickstarter. And at the top of the page, well, at the top where it says to pledge, it tells you how much. It says the original pledge was closed, but you can still pledge these items. Click here, and you just scroll down and look. It goes on for miles. They have so much. You're gonna drool. So I suggest a bib because it is drooly. That's my recommendation. Get a bib. Get yourself a bib. But thank you again, everyone. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay, now we're working now. We're working now. Thank you again, everyone who came out on this Saturday and hung out and popped in and lurked. Thank you, lurkers. I appreciate it. I know a few people who actually had to work today, so they told me in advance. They're like, I might be lurking. I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble for lurking for this podcast I work. No, I do it all the time. Okay, because I listen to podcasts and lurky turkey all the time at my job. It helps me get through my day. Believe me, without the streams, I need something to work. I can't just do my job without sound. I'll go crazy. I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind. I can't even tell you. But mwah. Thank you all. I appreciate it. This was a big to do for me.